Welcome to the podcast. This is Raul Marquez is Punchy with Lupe Contreras. If you've been watching for the last few weeks or so, we've been letting you know that we've been planning this for quite some time. We're going to be shifting everything over directly to YouTube. You can still catch us on our social media platforms at Punchy Show on Instagram as well as Facebook. But everything, the full content, the full platform of Punchy is going to be shifting directly over to YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed quite yet, make sure you do so. I am Lupe Contreras. This is Raul Marquez is Punchy with your aforementioned host. But before we continue, we have to welcome the star of the show, 1992 U.S. Olympian, former IBF Super Welterweight World Champion, former Showtime broadcaster, current true crime documentary star, entrepreneur, the one and only Raul El Diamante Marquez. What's going on?
Man, Lupina, that's a badass introduction, bro. It's like, am I coming
It's
back to
kind of what I do for a
boxing?
living. It's kind of what I do for a living.
No, I know. I love it, man. I love it. I really appreciate it. And look, I mean, this is something we've been working on for many months, and we've been talking about it for years, but we just couldn't come to an agreement, Lupina. We'll talk about that later. Like, we'll tell the people later how we couldn't make ends meet with the negotiations and how that the money was going to split. Whenever we have 1 million followers one day.
Okay, you're the one talking about money. If I'm not mistaken, this weekend I'm looking on your social media and there are Lamborghinis in the driveway. There's like bandas playing during your kids' workout. If anybody should have questions about how the money is being spent, is you.
Well, like I've always said, anybody can, baby. You know why? Because I'm American, I'm African, and I'm Mexican. Anybody can.
As you know, as we told you, you're gonna see a different side of both of us. Forget what you see in the tuxedo. Forget what you see with the headphones on doing the broadcasting.
Right.
For this particular broadcast, Imante, look what I brought. I'm bringing them
Huevos.
out.
Is that
We got the
huevos?
huevitos out. We got the
Are you,
huevitos out.
are you doing
A-
brujeria, Mexican brujeria, or
As you know, the last few weeks there's been a different Lupina. You've noticed my attitude in business as far as it's concerned, right? I'm taking no crap from nobody.
oh,
So
I see. And I tell you,
that's
I
exactly what we're going to be doing here on this podcast as well.
I notice it, man. I'm not now. You're scaring me. I think my huevitos are coming up my throat now, bro. Oh
Well, let's
my
do a
God, what are
recap.
you up to,
How
man?
was your weekend, by the way? How was everything?
I had a great weekend. Had a great weekend. We've been training. Gio's been training for his upcoming fight next week, and baseball with Liam. Liam's been hitting home runs. He's been trying out for All Stars. Just being a family man. My wife is always busy with the kids, and Alina is getting ready for soccer. Just living life, bro. Living life.
My weekend was pretty good. Thank you for asking. I was working. I was in New Jersey. We got to do the rare Sunday afternoon show with the Zone. Thomas Lamana celebrating 10 years with Rising Star Promotions. The show was great. Travel back and forth was a pain in the butt, man. On the way there, 3 hour delay, and for some reason, as you know, I've been doing this whole old man waking up like at 4:30 in the morning for no reason. So that
Yeah.
that morning, I woke up at 4:30 in the morning and I'm dozing off on the plane after a 3 hour delay. And I did that whole thing where like my knee was kind of sticking out into the aisle.
Yeah.
Oh man, here comes the flight attendant with that giant ass cart, full speed.
I hate
Sas,
that. I hate that
sas,
when it
right,
happens, bro. Yeah, I hate that.
right on my knee. I'm not gonna lie. I think I let out like a little yelp and like a little bitty tear just kind of formed on the corner of
Ow.
my eye.
Hey, I hear a little kitty cat, bro. Come on, bro. You're
There,
más
there,
macho.
there was a big kitty cat that particular day
¿Qué
on the
le
plane.
pasó al más macho?
But there was some boxing going on this weekend, Raul. As you know, we had Connor Ben facing off against Chris Ruebank Jr. in the UK. A
Yes.
huge fight there. Maybe not getting the attention they deserved here. But what were your thoughts on that show?
Oh man, it was an entertaining fight. Can you imagine fighting in front of 65,000 people? I never got the honor of doing that, but it lived up to the hype, man. I mean, both of the fathers were there, and the guys, the fighters came out to the music. Their walkout song was kind of associated to the same songs that their fathers came out to. Even the trunks, Lupina, they were the same colors like their fathers, and it was balls to the wall, man. Huevos, like big huevos, big bombs. I mean, that's what people pay to see, and they got that an action fight. But the key was the jab, for Eubank, and he's got more experience. He was just a bigger guy. He knew how to control the distance. He knew how to lean on Ben to offset his rhythm when he had a rhythm going. But I did notice one thing, Lupina, when Ben connected, his punches were a lot more powerful than Eubanks. Had he connected more, and he hurt him at times, and he also won some rounds. So it was a very entertaining fight. I wouldn't mind see him run it again, man. I would love to see that fight again. It was good.
Do you think the fact that Eubank had to drop so much weight, to me, he looked like a guy that was drained. He looked like a guy, as you said, when Conor Ben was swinging, and Conor Ben was swinging for the fences. When he did connect, you saw an impact on Eubank. But I think the weight had a big factor to do with that.
Yeah, most likely. Plus, he had that 10-pound. He couldn't gain over 10 pounds over the weight that he weighed, so that probably did affect him. But nonetheless, Eubank was just busier. He threw a lot more punches. He was faster, and he hurt Ben at times too. But yeah, it was it was a really good fight. I mean, Ben had to come up in weight, like two weight classes. I think that was a big difference too. The most thing that I liked about it was that both of the fathers were there sitting next to each other while their sons are going madrazos, like going toe to toe at it, and both fathers are there next to each other, man. That was amazing. That was a great experience.
There were a lot of elements to the show. Some of it felt a little bit orchestrated. Some of it felt a little WWE, like the dad wasn't going to be there, and then he pops out of a limousine all of a sudden. But I do like the drama that they put on the whole British side. Even the commentary, they're like, "Oh, these are desperate moments."
Yes.
Nigel Ben. My favorite part too is obviously there was a massive arena. The part that makes me feel really like an ignorant American is they'll show like the celebrities in the crowd, and they'll be like, "Oh, Nigel Heffington is in the building,"
and I'm like, "Who's that?" I didn't know who that was. Yeah.
Chris Kensington has just walked in.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Who the hell is that? Now they were calling it the fight of the year. I thought that might be a little bit too much. It was definitely the atmosphere of the year.
Yeah,
it was definitely the atmosphere of the year, and the fans had a lot to do with that.
You're right. It was like a movie, man. It was a movie. It was well directed, well produced, and you're right. And for that side of the world, and that for the boxing world, it was a big event. Definitely was.
There was also another event that perhaps, I don't know if you paid attention to it, but I want you to check this out.
It is in the jungle.
This is the world's first ever sperm race. This is Asher from UCLA versus Tristan from USC. Two legends on microscopic racetrack. The battle for whose sperm is the healthiest, the fastest, and the tastiest. Whose swimmers will win the race. USC versus UCLA. Friday, April 25th. Live on spermracing.com.
First of all, what the hell is going on these days, huh?
Bro, that caught me off guard, man. Where do you get that shit from, dude?
I've got two questions for you. This
man.
Type of event, do you think it'll be an acquired taste? And do you think that some people will have a hard time just, it's going to be hard to swallow for them? What do you think?
I think both, bro. I'm still trying to read it in my mind. I'm trying to program what I just saw. And is this real, dude?
It was real. By the way, if you're wondering, Tristan won. His sperm was the fastest. It was on YouTube. You can go check it out.
My God,
but yeah, what is the world coming to? But
anyway, I don't know.
I found that pretty interesting. But let's get on to real events. It is now time for the main event. Obviously, there can't be anything other than the main event. We got big Cinco de Mayo weekend. Times Square is going to be happening.
Ooh,
3 big fights on the card. Obviously, the main event. You got Garcia versus Romero, Haney versus Ramirez, and then you got Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barbosa Jr. Let's start with what has to be the main event. You got Romero versus Garcia. What are your thoughts on that fight?
I think that's gonna be a very entertaining fight. A lot of shit talking. Romero, Rolly, man, he talks a lot of shit, and he sounds like he's got that little squeaky voice when he talks. I can't do it, Lupina. You're probably a better imitator than I am, but And then, Ryan, he's been out for a year. We saw his last fight with Haney when he went through whatever he was going through, mental health, and, he was drinking and doing whatever he was doing, but he's been out for a year, and I think he's got his shit back together. It's going to be a very entertaining fight. I look forward to that fight. I think that's going to be the best fight of the night.
Obviously, it's a great show. It's taking place in a interesting venue.
Yes.
At first, I think people were a little bit more excited because they thought it was going to be open to the public, but it obviously is open to the public. You've got all sorts of issues that are taking place where I think that you can only have so many number of seats on there. You can't charge for the event because it is Times Square, and you can only do so much with what's going on. So that kind of loses a little bit of the excitement about it, but definitely a great show. What are your thoughts on Romero versus Haney Romero versus Garcia as far as what the outcome is going to be there?
Well, Romero, like, he's strong. He's got power. He's very awkward. You know how he comes swinging from different angles. He's just an awkward guy. I've been covered a couple of his fights. You don't know where he's swinging from, and he's very unpredictable. So, and he's definitely got power. He gets in shape. He's been busy too. He's had some fights. He's been busier for sure than Ryan, and I think it's gonna take Ryan a couple of rounds to be able to figure him out and control the distance and land his shots. But man, I believe that Romero goes out swinging and he gets caught by left hook, man. He maybe in round 6, 7, or 8, Ryan Garcia catches him with that big left hook, and Romero goes out on a stretcher, bro. He's gonna be lost. He's gonna be lost in Times Square. He's not gonna know where he's at. That's what I believe is gonna happen in that fight.
And then obviously the co-feature, you got Haney versus Ramirez. You got a little bit of insight on that. Gio has been up in camp with Devin Haney. Ramirez is a guy who hasn't had a long layoff, but definitely did not look great on his last fight.
No, look, the thing about Ramirez, he's been busy. He had 2 fights last year, and he's with Robert Garcia, the Robert Garcia camp. Robert is going to have him ready, and he should know that, he's not going to outbox. There's no way that he's going to outbox Devin Haney. Devin Haney's been out for a year, and we don't know how he really is there mentally, after he went through all that shit, trying to change the decision against Ryan. When he lost to Ryan, he finally got what he wanted. He got a no contest. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to see how, we're going to see how Devin Haney comes out. I believe he's in great shape. And of course, like you said, he was sparring with Giovanni and other sparring partners. And Gio said he's ready. He's in good shape. So, he should be able to pull it out. He should win.
Opening up the action, we have probably the fight that's had the most back and forth going between one another, Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barbosa Jr. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, with Teofimo Lopez, look, we don't know what Teofimo Lopez is going to show off. Sometimes we've seen the off version of Lopez, like when he lost to Camboses, or when he won this fight against Jermaine Ortiz. He didn't look too good, but when he was on, when he beat Lomachenko, when he beat Josh Taylor, that's the Teofimo Lopez that I expected. I believe that he's going to be up for a fighter like Arnold Barbosa. Barbosa is undefeated. He's got some wins over Catterall, against Ramirez, against Pedraza. He's a guy that's coming to win. That's a big challenge for Lopez. And Lopez wants the big fights, Lupina. This is the big stage, and I believe Lopez is going to be able to pull through.
You've got 3 quality fights, all of which could possibly be a main event on any particular card. But on your thoughts, what will be the best fight of the night in Times Square?
Right now, the most entertaining fight, it has to be the main event. It has to be Ryan Garcia and Rolly, because it's bombs away. Ryan has that big left hook, and Rolly comes in swinging from different angles. He throws bombs. He's strong. He pushes you. He roughs you up. It's going to be that kind of fight. So I think that's going to be a very entertaining fight.
And when we go back to that particular night, obviously you've got a lot of guys that have proven track records. There's some fights that, they're already talking about making Haney Garcia 2.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to be sorted out before those things can go into effect. What do you think is going to be the most likely to be the upset of the night?
Oh man, that's a good question. It's a 50-50 question, but you gotta, man, you got me thinking right there. It just like I said about Teofomo, it depends on what Teofomo shows up. I believe the real on version of Teofomo is gonna show up. I'm not gonna say Devin Haney's gonna get upset, but if anybody has a bigger chance of getting upset, I think Haney gets upset because he's been off for a year. I don't exactly know how he is mentally up here. And Ramirez, he's game. He's coming balls to the wall. He's gonna put pressure. Robert Garcia's gonna have him in shape, and he's gonna bring it, man. He knows he can't outbox Haney, and I think he's gonna be in his chest, in his grill all night long.
Who's the least likely to get upset?
Ah, man, I think the least likely to get upset is Ryan Garcia. I think Ryan Garcia wins big. He explosive knockout. I've been saying it, but Rolly will make it entertaining. Like he always makes it. Even when he fought Tank Davis, he was entertaining. So even him at losing, his losses, he's still entertaining. But I think Ryan knocks him the blank out.
That takes me to my next question. Most predictable outcome. Do we go back to what you just said? Is that what you think is going to be the most likely thing to happen?
Oh, that is the most likely. Yeah. The thing is, what round is it going to happen? I think Rolly is going to come out strong and fast and trying to bully Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is going to go to a shell and cover up and just, be relaxed and, try to establish his jab and trying to control the distance and throw his 1-2 down the middle. And then all of a sudden, he's gonna time him. He's gonna time Rolly and he's gonna land the missile. He's gonna land that left hook, and Rolly is gonna go to sleep. He's gonna be like a Tweety bird. You know how he talks. Can you do it, Lupina? I know you got a good imitation of Rolly.
I'm afraid to strain my voice. I got. Unlike you, Raul, I got shows to do, so I can't be messing with.
I don't have shows to do, but that's why.
So we move on. The following night, of all places, we go to Saudi Arabia. Kind of a weird card. Obviously, Canelo's going to be in the main event. You got Canelo versus William Scull, undisputed on the line in that particular weight class. A lot of unusual factors going on with this one. The start time, from what I understand, the main event's probably going to be going into the ring probably right or around 6 o'clock in the morning or so, local time.
Wow. That's
that's
a little bit different, man.
kind of that is unusual. How do you think that's going to factor into the fight?
No, well, the guys they're already there. They've been there. They're getting adjusted to the time change, and it's part of the game, man. You gotta figure it out. I mean, I did that when I fought in Germany, even as an amateur traveling all over the world. So you gotta go there early and adapt. Not only to the time change, but even their food. Whatever they have over there. There's a lot of factors that come in, and like I said, it's part of the game, Lupina.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Any chance that Canelo loses this fight?
Oh man, I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I think this is more of like a preview for Canelo. He's doing business with Turkey. That's the money man. They got plans. This is a preview for the Crawford fight and whatever else they have in store. Hopefully, maybe Benavidez down the line or Bivol. They got bigger plans. They got bigger plans. So I just don't see Canelo losing. Plus, this gives them an opportunity to be the undisputed super middleweight champion again for the second time, 4-belt champion for the second time. I mean, he's fighting a guy in Scull that he's not a bad fighter, Lupina. He's Cubano. He's Cuban. And remember what Islam de Lara did to Canelo, but that was many years ago. Though those Cuban fighters, they're very awkward. Remember Lara? He ran around and boxed and stick and move and a lot of holding. And Scull, he won the vacant title by beating a guy that was pretty good in Vladimir Shiskin. I covered it before. It was a close fight. It was closer than what they had it. I mean, it could have been a draw, but I think the Scull pulled it out. I think he earned it. But like I said, he's the Cuban style of school of boxing, and he's the guy that will hold you. He'll frustrate you. He'll do anything, even to survive and make the fight, boring if he has to. So, but I don't see this being a surprise. I think it's all Canelo, man. What I'm really looking forward to on that card, Lupina, is the rematch of Jaime Munguia against the French guy, Bruno Surace. I took French years ago in high school. Parlez-vous français?
It obviously didn't stick. It didn't stick.
Hey, but that's the fight that I want to see. Munguia, he got beat in Tijuana in front of 30,000 people, Lupina, against this French guy, Bruno. And he wants revenge. He wants revenge. So I look forward to that fight. And then the 2024 Olympic silver medalist in Mexico, Marco Verde. I look forward to his pro debut. He's with Team Canelo, Eddie Reynoso training him. That's gonna be a good card to watch.
Well, let's take a look at the card. I have it up on screen right now. The one that really interests me, for example, obviously you got to be interested in Canelo Scull. Anytime Canelo is fighting, you're gonna watch, man. I don't care what you say, whether you're a fan, whether you're a Canelo hater, you're gonna be watching that fight. The one that interests me as well is you got Efe Ajagba. It's going to be facing off against Martin Bakole, which I think that one might steal the show, or it could be a stinker as well. It could be one of those things where that one just doesn't quite live up to the hype. You got two big heavyweights. Efe Ajagba has had some big highlight reel knockouts. Bakole upset Big Baby Anderson here in the U.S. It didn't go quite as well for him against Parker, but what are your thoughts on that one?
Honestly, Lupina, you never go wrong with the heavyweights. The big boys, one punch at any time can end it all. So don't go to the refrigerator. Don't go to the bathroom because you don't want to miss a good knockout. I think somebody's going to go down in that fight.
Now, one thing that you've always mentioned in boxing, even in the silly little sparring matches that we've had, I think one thing that people are overlooking is the fact that Scull is a big dude, man.
He is a big dude.
He's over 6 feet. He can fight.
Yeah.
You've always said the one thing that kept me in the ring with you were champion at 154 when we were sparring. I was probably about 205. You were
your size.
You were a little chunky. So the size kept me in there. You think that's going to be a factor this upcoming Saturday night?
Yeah, I think with Scull, like you said, it's the size and the Cuban school of boxing, the moving and sticking and moving and the awkwardness and the holding. And he's smart. He's a good technical fighter. I don't think he gets knocked out. I think he goes the distance with Canelo. That's what I believe.
Then we move on to Sunday, Las Vegas, Nevada. We got ourselves our favorite Texan from San Anto, the man with the best rat tail in the business. It is Naoya Inoue returning to Vegas, facing off against a huge underdog in Ramon Cardenas. And what are your thoughts on that one, Raul?
Well, look, it's Inoue hasn't fought here in the States since 2021, I believe, and it's an introduction for him to, they want to make him big. He's already big in Japan, but you're not big until you're big in the United States. So I think he's an explosive fighter. He's got power. I love him. I love his style. Cardenas, we had him on Showbox. The last makes me want to cry. The last Showtime Showbox show that we had in San Antonio. He's game. He's a good little fighter. He's gonna be in shape. But like they always say, Lupina, there's levels to this game, and I just think in a way it would be too much for Cardenas.
Let me ask you this: having said that, if by chance, you can never underestimate any fighter, especially a Mexican in the ring, and you got a guy in Cardenas who let's face it. He's a guy who's still kind of on that cusp of where he hasn't made that FU money quite yet. This will literally change his life. If he wins this fight, it puts him into another stratosphere and almost guarantees a rematch, and a rematch most likely heading back to Japan. If he wins this, it changes everything for him.
Oh, he changes his lifestyle. He changes his family, everything. Look, the number one reason he's taking this fight is because of the payday. Obviously, it's the payday. And the opportunity to fight someone like Inoue, the biggest name in that weight division, but it's a hard fight, man. It's a really difficult fight. Inoue, he's on the up too. But if Cardenas is hungry, but look, even if he doesn't beat him, I'm going to this, and he gives him a competitive fight, he's gonna get another fight, or maybe they'll demand a rematch. We don't know what's gonna happen. We'll see.
If the unthinkable happens, where would it fall under the I guess the scale of upsets? Would it be a Hasim Rahman knocking out Lennox Lewis? Would it be Tyson against Douglas? Where in that chart would it fall under?
You know, when I think about upsets, the most recent upset that comes to mind, I mean, those were some good upsets that you're talking about, but that's been a while. But the most recent upset that came to mind was when AJ came here to the United States for the first time in New York, and Andy Ruiz, right? The heavyweight Pinto bean knocks him out. I remember watching it here in the living room, telling Jeanette, I said, "Watch, you see that Mexican guy? He's gonna beat that other big dude, you know." And he's you know how AJ, man, he's all, you know, chiseled, big dude. And she was like, "No way, there's no way." And of course, Andy's, you know, he's a heavyweight. He's faster than what he looks. He's very fast, but he doesn't have this body that you think he's gonna be. You know, he's gonna beat you, right? And I was so happy for Ruiz, Lupina. When I was watching the fight in the living room, I was jumping up and down. I even cried for Ruiz. Just, you know, him shocking the world, dude. That was a big upset for me. So I would put it in a category like that, except you talk about little men. Those were heavyweights, and we're talking about Inoue and Cardenas. They're like little men. So I think, you know, you have a Mexican and you have a Japanese fighter. So I think that would be huge, man. That would be up there. The most recent
I can
upset.
verify that story that you had a little bit of a tear because I was, of all places, I was in Lima, Peru, and I was going to be going to Machu Picchu the next day, and they were showing it on free TV there in Peru.
Yeah.
And I remember I called you, I texted
Yeah.
you, and you were like, you were absolutely super excited.
I was.
Let me ask you
man.
this: what would be a bigger upset, if Scull wins or if
Oh.
Cardenas pulls off the upset?
Because you got to remember, Canelo has big plans with Turkey. The money man, the money bag. He's got big plans. Canelo's the face of boxing. So I think if Scull beats Canelo, that's a huge. I mean, that to me, I think that would be the biggest upset that I've seen in my lifetime of boxing, Lupina. Think about it. I mean, don't you think it's up there? That would be huge. I mean, if Scull beat Canelo, I don't think I've seen an upset like that. The face of boxing, the guy that, I mean, he already has plans with Crawford, and you know, I don't know how much he signed for with Turkey, all the money, 200 and something million, whatever it was, you know. So that would be big, man. That would be a huge upset.
All right, Diamante. Having said, we have 3 big fights.
Yep.
This is going to be our segment. We're going to call this carne asada,
Ooh.
pirateada, or no quema. And let's explain to the crowd. So, carne asada, when we have something going on, we have a big party, we're going to bust out the beers, we're going to bust out the griller, we're going to toast up some meat, and we're going to put it all on the grill, and we're going to throw a big party.
Right.
Pirateada, essentially, we're not condoning this, but we know it happens. You've got people who, you know, if they don't pay for it, they'll find a way to make sure that they get to see the fight. That's pirateada.
Okay.
No quema basically means kind of like, you know, I'm not feeling it. I'm not getting excited about this particular fight. So what I want you to do, I want you take the 3 fights that we have on tap for this upcoming Cinco de Mayo weekend. We got the New York City card.
Yep.
We've got Garcia versus Romero.
Yep.
Haney versus Ramirez. Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barbosa Jr. We go to Saudi. We got Canelo on the main event fighting William Scull for undisputed. And then on Sunday night, Las Vegas, Nevada, the fight capital of the world. We're celebrating Cinco de Mayo with a Japanese fighter fighting against a Mexican-American from San Antonio, Inoue versus Cardenas. I want you to take each one of those cards.
Right.
And I want you to categorize them.
Okay.
Carne asada, the one you want to see the most. Pirateada, the one you want to see, but you're not exactly going to pay for it.
Right.
And then no quema, the one that you just ain't quite feeling yet. So make your case. Make your case. Let me know which is which, and we'll go from there.
All right, so we're going to start with the carne asada, una carnita asada. You know how the Mexicans do it, man. Fajitas, and then my dad's famous red chicken that Liam and Anita love, and then my mom's pico de gallo, and then my Jeanette's. Hey, I never told you about Jeanette's salsa, bro. We're going to bottle that salsa one day. We're going to make some feria. Everybody likes my wife's salsa, okay? Some cervecitas con limoncito, and look, my Michelob Ultras.
Potential sponsor?
I think, yeah. I think the carne asada is gonna be that you see with the family. I usually see the fights with my family, maybe some friends, probably the family. I'm gonna go with Garcia versus Roly Poly. That's the fight that I want to see with carne asada and all the fajitas and costillitas and the family, the salsas y todo el pedo. You know what I mean? That's the carne asada. So, and that's May 2nd. That's this Friday, right?
This Friday,
May 2nd
Friday
or May
night,
3rd?
May 2nd. May
Yeah.
2nd. It'll be May
Yeah, May
2nd.
2nd. Now,
Let's go to the next category.
The
Pirateada. That means pirated. Like I said,
Okay,
we don't
the
condone
one-
it. We don't condone pirating.
Yeah.
We want you to pay for everything that you watch. But if it had to fall into that category, which card are you going with?
The pirateada is going to be the Canelo Scull. I pretty much know the result, what's going to happen. But I am interested, like I said earlier, in the Munguia rematch with Bruno Suraj. I just had to put it. Did I say it right? Suraj. Okay. And the debut of the Mexican Olympic silver medalist, Marco Verde. So that's going to be my pirateada fight.
And we go to
And
our
that's on
final
Saturday.
category. That is on Saturday. That will be on
Yeah.
Saturday. Obviously, by default, that leaves one to put into the final category. No quema. No quema, cuz you're just not feeling it. Which one's going to be?
Okay, it's not that I'm not feeling it, and no disrespect to the fighters, like Inoue, who's a badass, he's an explosive knockout artist. Same thing for Cardenas from San Anto. He's getting a big opportunity. I wish him nothing but the best. But that's the no quema one for me. If I watch it or not, I'll read about it. I'll read the result, but that's gonna be the no quema for me. There you go.
And we move on to the co-feature. The co-feature of the evening. Just announced. We're not going to go too in-depth on this one, but the fight card that's coming up is coming up July 12th. And actually quite an impressive card. You've got Shakur Stevenson versus William Cepeda. Edgar Berlanga facing off against Hamza Shiraz, both of whom are, let's face it, taking a step up in competition, coming off some lackluster performances. Alberto Puello facing off against our old friend from Puerto Rico, Subriel Matias. And rounding off the card, David Morrell will be facing off against, I'll be honest with you, a fighter I haven't heard of, but I've seen some of his footage, and the guy looks very strong in
He is.
Imam Katayev. Give me your thoughts on that particular fight.
Well, on which one, the Berlanga Shiraz or the Katayev fight, Morrell? What do you want to know about?
Let's go from the top on down. Let's go from, and actually another interesting fact.
Yeah.
They're calling both of these fights main events, which I don't know exactly. I think on one night when they do all the media stuff, the weigh-in and so forth, they're going to have one fight be the main event, which from what I heard, all indications say it's going to be Shakur Stevenson against Cepeda. And then on the night of the actual final fight that goes into the ring will be Berlanga versus Shiraz. Give me your thoughts on that one, first of all. Berlanga,
okay, so
Shiraz.
that's for me. I mean, the way you're explaining it, that's going to be the main event, the Berlanga Shiraz fight, right? Obviously. Well, I mean, Berlanga, this is going to be a super middleweight eliminator. The winner here, Lupina, gets the opportunity to get the money back again. Supposedly, the winner here gets an opportunity at Canelo. And, Berlanga, he's a smart fighter. He's coming off of win of a very safe opponent, Jonathan Gonzalez, that he destroyed in one round. Honestly, I probably could have done better than Jonathan Gonzalez. And then, so Shiraz, he's a turkey guy. He's with the money guy. He's 21-0 with 17 knockouts. He's coming off of a very gifted draw against Carlos Adames. So, the winner here gets to fight Canelo. Okay. It's interesting, because like I said, Shiraz, he's a turkey guy, so I'm wondering, and he did get a gifted draw against Carlos Adames. So I'm wondering if they want Shiraz to win a fight Canelo, I don't know that, you know how it is, the politics in the boxing world. So that's going to be an interesting fight. Nonetheless, the winner gets an opportunity to fight Canelo, and everybody. That's the lotto, man. That's the lotto fight. That's why you make the big money.
The second fight of the double main event, we got Shakur versus Cepeda. I think this fight has a potential to be a fight where one of these guys is going to get exposed. Don't you think? You've got
and
a guy in Cepeda with a lot of hype behind him, being this Mexican destroyer. You've got a Shakur who has looked flawless up to this point, but let's face it, we haven't seen him in any difficult situations. And a style like Cepeda could be the one that finally puts him, up against the ropes, and let's see what he's got.
Yeah, I mean, Cepeda, relentless, busy. He's nonstop. He gets better as the rounds go. He takes a good shot. He's in great shape. And that's the kind of fight that, I mean, I've been wanting that fight for a long time. I think the boxing fans have been wanting that fight for Shakur to fight Camarón Cepeda. But Shakur, we have a relationship with Shakur. Giovanni also spars with Shakur. He's a great guy. He's a student of the game. The boxing IQ. He's a perfectionist, man. That guy lives in the gym. Even when he's not in camp, he's sparring 10, 12 rounds. He's a very smart technical fighter. It's going to be an interesting fight. And we want to see fights like that. I'm glad that fight is finally made. It was a mandatory. It's a mandatory for Shakur, and I'm glad it's happening.
I think the fight that has the potential to steal tonight, we have Puello versus Matias. You got two fighters, one in which, I mean, Matias really knows no other way to fight but come forward and just stick it to you the entire time. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Matias, we've seen him a couple of times in Puerto Rico. He only wins by knockout. 22 wins, only 2 losses, 22 knockouts. And Albert Puello, he's undefeated. He's more of a boxer, puncher. He's got some good wins. Over Martin, who beat Mikey Garcia, on the way out, Mikey Garcia. And then he also beat Gary Russell. So he's going to have to outbox Matias. There's no way that he could go toe-to-toe with Matias. If he goes toe-to-toe with Matias, he gets knocked the fuck out, bro.
And the one that perhaps maybe leaves the most questions or I guess the hardest one to really pinpoint is the one that's opening up the show, which is, David Morrell against Imam Katayev. What have you seen of Katayev, and does anything about him impress you?
I tell you what, Katayev, he's undefeated. He's 10-0 with 9 knockouts. He was also an Olympian in 2020, and he's coming off of a win against Palacio, Argentinian guy Palacio, by decision, where he took a lot of punishment. And I believe that this could be the fight of the night. 2-division champion David Morrell. I give him all the credit in the world when he fought the monster David Benavidez, because I really thought he was going to fold in that fight, Lupina. And he fought with huevos, man. Big fucking huevos. He impressed me. He even hurt Benavidez. He put a very entertaining, it was a very entertaining fight. And I believe that if Morrell stands and fights with Katayev, it's going to be bombs away, man. Somebody's going to get knocked out. So I think that is a fight that could steal the show because of their styles. They mesh good together, and they're going to come and fight.
That does it for our co-feature. Let's move on to the place where I made a living. That was the undercard. And a couple of interesting notes out there on the undercard. One that broke a few weeks ago, and I wanted to get your thoughts on, is we got Jake Paul versus Chavez Jr. It's taking place coming up in late July as well. Right. Give me your thoughts on that particular fight.
Well, look, Jake Paul, ever since he started fighting in 2020, he's been busy. He's been consistent. And, his opponent has gotten better too. So, and I'm not trying to be on his side or trying to be on his nuts, whatever you want to call it. But the guy is a student of the game. He prepares for the fights. He puts the road work in. He hires the right trainers. He hires the right sparring partners. He gets ready for boxing. Now, Chavez, 39 years old. Chavez Jr., 39 years old. We all know this. It's been very well documented. He's been a hell and back. He's only got one fight. He's only had one fight last year against like a mixed martial arts kickboxer type of guy, Uriah Hall, who's 40 years old. And before that, he didn't fight for 3 years, Lupina. So if Jake Paul wins, honestly, Chavez Jr. needs to get out of boxing. Say goodbye. Don't deal with boxing anymore. If Chavez wins, then we could see a rematch. Why not?
You mentioned some of the previous fights that both Jake Paul and Chavez Jr. have fought. They have an opponent in common. They both fought Anderson Silva. Right. Jr. lost to Anderson Silva. Paul beat Anderson Silva. I know boxing math can be a little bit awkward at times. Does that factor any way at all? If one beat him and the other one lost to him, what do you think will happen in the fight itself?
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, look, we all know that styles make fights, and you're right. I did notice that he beat Silva, who's a MMA guy, and Chavez lost to Silva. I'm looking at the age of Jake Paul, 28. I'm looking at him being consistent, staying in the gym. Like I said, he started the boxing thing in 2020, and he's been fighting, every two, three, one fight a year. He's been busy. And Chavez is 39 years old. He's got a lot of wear and tear in his body, on top of all the problems that he went through, Lupina, the alcohol, the drugs, whatever he was going through in life. And I think that he's out of it now. And I'm glad that he is, man, because it was sad for me to see Chavez Jr. like that. I remember him I looked up to Chavez Sr., his dad, and I remember him as a little kid and, taking pictures with him because I was a fan of the Chavezes. So I'm glad that he is out of that stage. But, man, it's hard to come, dude. Try to come back from something like that at 39 against a guy that like Jake Paul that has been busy, been consistent, been sparring, been training. He's in camp sparring real fighters. And Chavez, he's only had the one fight he had last year against a kickboxer, and he won by decision. He's a 40-year-old man. He didn't even knock him out. So I think Jake Paul wins.
I still find it hard to believe when you mentioned that Chavez Jr. is 39 years old, man. I remember him when his dad was fighting. He was, I think, like 17 or 18, and we were announcing him in some of those undercards where he was fighting some up-and-coming, some of those Sean Gibbons specials they would bring from Indiana or, from somewhere in some third world country that he was knocking out in the first round.
I had those guys before, by the way.
I've seen some of your earlier videotapes, and those were the opponents.
Everybody has them.
So that does it for our boxing coverage. Diamante, here on the undercard, we're going to cover some different subjects. As I mentioned with you, we can only cover so much with you. You're either talking about boxing, you're talking about sex, you're talking about money, or you're talking about your favorite subject, Raul Marquez. I like to keep you in the know. I like to let you know what's going on. So this segment, we're calling it Las Noticias. I'm going to be keeping you up to date as to what is going on in the world, what has been happening, just so you don't feel left out. And you have a good touch, some good conversation that you can have with people. The first video I'm going to show you, this is from our local news, actually. And I'm not quite sure, but I'm almost positive. I mean, we've worked many places where the person checking to see if someone actually understands Spanish do not speak Spanish themselves. And I think we have a prime example. I want you to see this news coverage that happened here in our own hometown of Houston.
Houston police need your help in finding a robber who apparently has trouble keeping his pants up, okay? Apparently they sag big time. It happened back on April. There it is right there. On April 1st, they were sagging big time. The victim says she had just parked at her apartment complex off the Beltway near Bel Air Boulevard when the man pulled up behind her in a red SUV, a Ford SUV. That's when he jumped out, opened her passenger door, and stole her purse. Police say it's possible he had followed the victim from a nearby bank where she had just withdrawn some money. The suspect's SUV had a fake license plate that read Muévete ALV. Okay? If you recognize him and his sagging pants, call HPD.
I don't know if the people that work for Channel 2 or Channel 11, I should say, understand what Muévete ALV means. Can you explain it to those who may not be proficient in Mexican slang to what exactly that means?
Muévete a la B. That means
basically means get the F out of the way.
Yeah, that's what it means.
If you see a Hispanic guy showing the crack of his ass with an unusual license plate, make sure you call Houston authorities.
I haven't seen him, Lupina.
I know you don't keep up with any other sports, but the big story last week as well was the NFL draft. The Cleveland Browns, their crowd is referred to as the dog pound. So on the screen there at the NFL draft, they were showing a bone. But unfortunately, the angle that they showed didn't quite look like a bone, and I want you to check this out.
Okay, so they're not televising half these sets or any of these sets. The camera is on stage right now. There are multiple people on stage. We have not seen that yet. There's no way. There's no way this can be it.
Hey,
show me the huevos. Show me the huevos. There you go. That, right? That is what happens when you don't get the full picture as to how that particular logo. I'm sure it looked fantastic when you were looking at it from far away, but when you got up that close, it just didn't quite work out. Another thing. Here's another news story that lets you know that the meow is undefeated. Listen to what this executive from one of the Major League Baseball teams got caught doing.
3 women all came forward with the same creepy story to tell about one of the Detroit Tigers higher-ups. They opened up their Snapchat to find a picture of a bat and balls they wanted nothing to do with.
Do you see a theme going on here?
I see it, Lupina. I see it. It's all about the huevos, man.
I want you to be honest, Diamante. Have you ever sent off one of those?
Never. I never have, Lupina.
Diamante. Do you need to borrow these? You've never done a little bit of advertising to see if you had any suitors, any takers?
No, I didn't have to, Lupina. I'm El Diamante. Come on.
All right. That's right. You attract
Lupina, what
that
does
all on
Diamante
your
mean?
own.
What does Diamante mean? Diamonds.
That means the diamond, and diamond is what? It's a girl's best. It's a girl's best friend.
That's why I married my wife. See, I'm her best friend. She's my best friend. I'm her best friend, huh?
A little disappointing news, Diamante. I know you're a big fast food person. I looked it up on the news, and it looks like Jack in the Box is going to be closing 200 locations, and they might even be selling off, part of their Del Taco franchise. And I know that is one of your favorite go-to spots. Correct me if I'm wrong. When you were a teenager, when you didn't want your mom to know that you had been sneaking out of the house and hanging out with girls, you and your brother would go to the Jack in the Box drive-thru. And what was your go-to move to hide the perfume of girls that had been on you?
Yeah, this is back in the days, Lupina. Back in the El Dorado Ranch days. Remember Hullabaloo's, Zaz? Me and my brother would come home, and Jack in the Box tacos, first of all, they're the best tacos for me. 2 for $1, bro. You couldn't go wrong. We would buy 20, 24 tacos and just eat them, bro. And then we would rub them on our bodies or whatever, so it'll smell like tacos. It will smell like tacos, bro. But they were the best tacos. It sucks that they're closing down, dude. For real?
Well, they're not closing all of them down. They're closing 200 down. So just pray that it's not one near your home. Also,
I live in Keywood, bro, so maybe they will.
Yeah, that's right. You live in the high dollar area.
We have. You know what, bro? I don't even think we have a Jack in the Box in Kingwood.
No, you guys are like Five Guys. You guys are like that artisan hamburgers. Speaking of for someone who lives in such an expensive neighborhood, you are probably one of the cheapest bastards that I've ever met in my life. In our very own state of Texas, they've got the first Starbucks that has been 3D printed. The whole store was printed from one piece of concrete. Basically, they take a robot, and the robot just kind of goes around and is printing cement, and they make the store faster. So the first one ever was in the city of Brownsville, Texas. But I want to let people know exactly how cheap you are. You used to be a Starbucks person, but it just started getting to your wallet, and you just weren't quite liking it anymore.
Nah, it's just about the math. It made sense. Oh, go ahead, show me. I want you to show me, Lupina.
Let me show people what a cheap bastard Raul is. This is what he does every single morning, and he calls me on the phone to make sure that I'm listening to what's happening.
Good morning. Can I get set up for you?
Yeah, can I get a small senior coffee?
All right. Is there any cream or sugar?
3 creamers and 2 Splendas.
All right. Anything else for you?
That's it.
All right. You can pull up the first one then.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
This has changed your life, has not, Diamante? First of all,
absolutely, Lupina. I mean, look, I would literally do Starbucks every day, bro. Every freaking day. And sometimes, you order a bagel or un sandwichito, those little those little sandwiches with whatever they call them, with bacon and an egg. I mean, you're like $12-13 every day. Do the math. Just do the math every day. Now, I'm not even a senior, but they don't know that. I mean, I just asked for a senior small coffee, 70 cents, Lupina, every day. And you know what? It does it for me, bro. It does it for me. Like that coffee, if I need coffee, and it saves me a lot. I mean, 70 cents times 5, the whole way, that's $3.50 a week. 3 times 5, whatever, do the math, $15 maybe at the most a month in coffee. Well, I was like, who knows? Like, imagine $10 times 550. That's like $200, $250 in coffee, bro. It's just common sense, bro. Like, that's just the way I am. I watch my money.
Remember our motto. It's
Yeah.
not how much you make, it's how much you spend, right?
And don't forget, did you read about Yori Boy Campas and Mayorga fighting again, Lupina?
That's right. They're going to be fighting coming up, I think, in a couple of weeks, May 17th. You know what? Another one that I just saw that popped up. He's in a little bit much better shape. The Brazilian fighter, Popo Freitas, is going to be doing an exhibition on that same date.
Bro.
On that same date, he'll be fighting in Brazil.
And didn't you say Jose Luis Castillo, too, is fighting on that
Jose
card?
Luis Castillo will be on the undercard. He's fighting a gentleman I've never heard of. I'm not sure if it's some sort of celebrity, some sort of influencer, but he'll be fighting on that card as well.
I mean, listen, Lupita, getting back to the whole coffee thing is about managing your money and stuff. But look, go back to the coffee. I pay 70 cents, okay, for a coffee, but I go be at the bar. Hey, I was at the bar the other day with Giovanni at the Lock Bar and stuff. We're eating lobster. We're eating Brussels sprouts. I'm drinking $15, $20 drinks. It's different. It's the way I want to spend my money. You know what I mean? But how, Lupina, how does a guy like Mayorga, he freaking made $25 million, Lupina. He beat Vernon Forrest twice, my Olympic teammate. He beat Vargas. He had big paydays against Trinidad, against Cotto, fought Mosley twice, Oscar. $25 million, Lupina. I mean, he's the hero in Managua, Nicaragua, and he doesn't even have 10% of that money, Lupina. How does that happen, bro?
Well, the one rule is that's why we got to make this work. We got to make Punchy work. We got to wrap up the show. Remember, guys, this is our debut episode. Do the same thing that Raul does every time he drives by that McDonald's and gets that senior coffee. You tell the guy in the window to do what?
Do what?
You tell him to like and subscribe every time you go through.
Yeah. Hey, listen, by the way, hey, you're right. He got me off guard. Hey, you're right. I tell everybody about the Punchy show. I do interviews everywhere I'm at. I say, you got to follow me and Lupina on the Punchy show. Okay. Like and subscribe is very easy. So I'm telling everybody right now, like and subscribe. Salud.
And remember, you got to get us a sponsor. Go talk to the Michelob Ultra people.
Let's
That
go.
concludes the
Send me
podcast.
money.
Remember, Raul Marquez is Punchy with Lupe Contreras. All the content is exclusively on YouTube now, but we'll be sharing some shorts and also some highlights from the show on our social media platforms, which are Instagram as well as Facebook at Punchy Show. And you can also catch the audio version on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until next week, Raul Marquez has a young wife to satisfy, 2 kids to take care of.
Oh, yeah.
And I gotta go walk some dogs, and we are out.